Okay, so engine oil pressure check, generally what you'll be doing is removing the pressure sensor, the oil pressure sensor, and fitting in a gauge. This is the best way to access pressure from the oil gallery. Or in other words, where the oil is being pumped around the engine, it is an accessible place to fit a gauge in with adapters. Right, so when your oil light flickers, you'd be wanting to use a gauge to see if it's the switch or the oil pressure. You'd also possibly, when you want to check that the viscosity is right in your engine to make sure the pressure's there. And also, this is when fitting a new engine. Not many people actually do this, but if you've bought an unknown, how do you know the oil pressure is good? You don't until you check it with a gauge. Likewise with a clanky old diesel engine, sometimes it's worth checking perhaps yearly on a service just to make sure she's still lubricating well. What we have here is a low pressure tester or a gauge, pipe and adapters. This is for checking pressures on automatic gearboxes and engines. This is a gauge to make sure that you know that the pressure is being supplied from the oil pump to your oil gallery. This would be no good for checking common rail pressures or power assisted steering pressures, as the pressures in those systems are a lot higher. Okay, so accessing the oil gallery, as I said, would be through the oil pressure switch, because this is the easiest to take out, and there'll be a thread available to screen an adapter. This engine is the 300 TDI. Okay, so in the kit you get varying adapters, which are either metric, like this one, or imperial. Now, this is the 300 TDI pressure switch. It is not a tapered thread. Okay, so you see that there. Right, well this is the one we need. So there's not much to this kit. Adapter, your pipe, and then you have your gauge, like so. So once it's set up, you're ready to go. Not much to it. You do need O-rings, however, to stop any oil leaks or making a mess while you're testing. And on the pipe, it doesn't need an O-ring because it's actually a tapered thread. So I don't know why that's fitted. Okay, that's a 12mm and a 14mm spanner. These just need to be nipped up. Once they're nipped up, alright, you're ready to go. It doesn't need to be too tight at all. In the general specification data, and a workshop manual for instance, this is where you'll find your oil pressures. 300 TDI, you can see here, pressure engine warm at normal operating speeds will be 25 to 55 pounds-foot per squared inch, or PSI. Right, so engine running, you can see with a bit of a rev that takes the pressure up, and what we're looking for at 3000 RPM is to see if the pressure relief valve opens at max pressure. On the 300 TDI it's 55 PSI, as it does, so we're alright. Back to idle, you can see it's gone back to about 50 or 45. It does actually say that the pressure is quite good. Now, the kit is very comprehensive. It has adapters which you can then adapt if you need to. So it is very versatile, okay? And luckily it has the fitting sizes here as well. Looking at the TD5 datas, you can check the pressure at idle cold, which should be about 3 bar. 43.5 pounds-foot per square inch, pressure at 3,500 hot, and it will give you the relief valve opening pressure as well. Okay, not to take this as gospel, but this is a V8 engine. Pressure at idle minimum is 10 psi, pressure at 2000 rpm hot is 50 psi, and the relief valve opening pressure will be 50 psi again. So these are all different depending on the engine, but the data is available in the workshop manuals that are relevant to the engine. So going back to our 300 TDI, minimum being 25 psi, this is actually pretty good. The oil pump is working well. The only downside to this kit is you have to struggle to undo the unions like so. However, if you're clever enough, you could put some adapters in there to make it a quick fit. But for the money, this is a brilliant piece of kit. We're going to give it a massive thumbs up from the Land Rover Toolbox videos on this one.